Hey, Habiteers, it's Adam, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Habits Guy podcast. Now, today we're going to talk about something I work with a lot of my coaching clients on, which is how do I deal with acute stress? And when I say acute stress, I mean that momentary stress where you're getting up and giving a speech, or you're leading some type of presentation at work, or you're going to perform in some matter. Any type of momentary stress. And I'm not talking about life or death stress where somebody robs you or you're running from somebody who's trying to attack you. It's more of the psychological or perceived stress of normal day-to-day life, like your family, career, work, whatever that might be. Now, one of the core common beliefs we have about stress is that the best way to handle stress is just to calm down. In fact, they did a study. One of the core faculty members at Harvard Business School asked Americans, what's the best way to deal with acute stress? And they said, well, you got to calm down. And it turns out that that's not only not true, it has very minimal effect. And the reason it doesn't work is because you're trying to go from a really high arousal state where you're stressed, your heart is pumping, you're sweating, to a very low arousal state, which is calm, serenity, tranquility. And so the question then beckons, what is the best way to deal with that momentary acute stress? Well, Dr. Kelly McGonigal in her book, The Upside of Stress, really brought to light this idea of what's called the challenge response. And the challenge response is about perceiving the physiological symptoms that come up during those momentary acute levels of stress and perceiving them as something useful and helpful. I want to give you a metaphor. I grew up wrestling. And so before every single wrestling match, I would get really nervous, right? But the nerves were more like tingles in my stomach and my heart was racing and I was sweating. But I didn't perceive it as like threatening stress or something that was harmful to me. In fact, I really enjoyed it. I thought of it as my body getting exciting and getting ready to go tackle whatever opponent I was going to go face off against. And if you ever played sports before, you kind of get those pregame jitters, and that same feeling actually gets you hyped up and ready to take action. But it's the same physiological stress response that you get when you're going up to a boardroom meeting or maybe you're giving a presentation. And so the question is, why does it feel so different? And it has to do with the way we perceive those symptoms. Sometimes we perceive those exact same physiological symptoms as something harmful. And the key to the challenge response is seeing those physiological symptoms as something that can help. They did a research study where they asked people to come on stage and give a presentation about all of their weaknesses. And during that presentations, the faculty members or people scoring the presentation in the crowd were told to give really discouraging feedback, like grimacing or yawning or rolling their eyes or telling them that they weren't very good at that thing. And then they had to follow up that presentation by counting backwards as fast as they could in increments of 7 and seeing how far they can get. Now, if you don't like math and if you don't like public speaking, this probably sounds like a nightmare to you. But what they did was they asked a specific cohort of people as a part of this study to look at the stress response not as something harmful, but as something helpful, that those same physiological symptoms of increased blood pressure, sweating, heart rate, butterflies in your stomach was your body preparing you to take action and actually perform better. And what they found is that those people who were told that prior to this study actually performed better on the math test and actually had lower levels of stress following the end of the event. And so what we can learn here is that the way we perceive stress actually drastically impacts the way our body uses it and the way we actually interpret it. So if you're looking to deal with acute stress, the best way to handle it is not by trying to calm down. It's by using the challenge response. And one of the ways you can prime yourself for the challenge response is noticing when those certain symptoms come up. For you, maybe it's a racing heart and that gets you all freaked out, or butterflies in your stomach. Instead of saying, oh my God, something bad's happening, or I don't want this to be happening, tell yourself, this is my body rising to the occasion, giving me the energy and vitality I need to perform at my highest level. And when you start looking stress as something that is as something that is enhancing versus something that is destructive, you can actually use it and utilize it for better performance. So I hope this helps. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Shoot me some details or some comments down below and let me know what you guys want to see next time. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode.